Eggs are a pretty standard part of most people's diet. They're rich in protein and a fairly renewable food source. On top of that, in my own opinion, they're delicious. In the 19th century, large groups of workers would rely on eggs to provide them with the protein they needed to complete their laborious jobs at an affordable price. When the demand for eggs got too high, some people thought they had found an unlimited supply. Sometimes, though, the cost is more than just the almighty dollar. In the mid-19th century, a peculiar conflict erupted off the coast of San Francisco that would lead to some new rules regarding wildlife protection. This lesser-known chapter of American history unfolded on the rocky Farallon Islands, where seabirds laid their eggs in abundance. As the gold rush brought a surge of people to San Francisco, the demand for food skyrocketed, turning these eggs into a valuable commodity. The California gold rush, sparked by the discovery of gold at Sutter's Mill in 1848, set off one of the largest mass migrations in American history. Between 1848 and 1855, approximately 300,000 fortune hunters from all over the world flocked to California, hoping to strike it rich. That event would have a profound impact on the region, transforming a territory primarily focused on agriculture into a bustling hub of activity. As the gateway to the gold mines, San Francisco experienced explosive growth. Within just 2 years of the 1848 discovery, the city's population skyrocketed from around 800 to over 20,000. The influx of people was staggering, with hundreds of thousands of miners passing through the city each year on their way to the gold fields. In 1849 alone, 80,000 new faces entered California, earning the gold-seeking travelers the nickname 49ers. The once small oceanside harbor village of Yerba Buena was soon overflowing with ships, rapidly evolving into the booming metropolis now known as San Francisco. That unprecedented growth had a significant impact on the city's infrastructure and resources. The growth strained the area's modest agriculture industry. Farmers struggled to keep up with the massive population boom, leading to a severe food shortage. Eva Cresante, author of Garibaldi and the Farallon Egg War, described the situation, quote, "It was a protein-hungry town, but there was nothing to eat. They didn't have the infrastructure to feed all the hungry male workers." As demand far outpaced supply, food prices skyrocketed. In just a few short months, the price of food tripled. Merchants took advantage of the situation, charging outrageously high prices for basic goods. The scarcity of eggs in particular became a significant issue. Chicken eggs were especially hard to come by and cost up to $1 each, which was a tidy sum in the mid-19th century. That exorbitant price highlighted the desperate need for that protein-rich food source. Even with eggs shipped in by the millions from across the Pacific and from the East Coast, demand was still far greater than supply. The situation became so dire that a journalist in 1881 recalled, quote, "When San Francisco first became a city, its constant cry was for eggs." The Farallon Islands, a breathtaking archipelago located approximately 28 miles or 45 kilometers offshore from San Francisco, rise dramatically out of the Pacific Ocean. Those rugged granite outcroppings are part of the Greater Farallons National Marine Sanctuary. The island's unique geography has earned them a dramatic description from Mary Jane Schramm of the sanctuary, who likens them to, quote, "a piece of the moon that fell into the sea." The isolated archipelago serves as a globally important hotspot for marine biodiversity. The islands and their surrounding waters are home to an incredible array of wildlife, including whales, seals, sea lions, and great white sharks. The Farallon's position in the highly productive California Current and Eastern Pacific upswell region has resulted in a seabird population of over 250,000. Among the diverse seabird species that call the Farallon Islands home, the common murre stands out as the most abundant. They resemble penguins with their black and white feathers, though they aren't flightless. The birds form the largest seabird breeding colony in the contiguous United States, with hundreds of thousands nesting on the island each year. The common murre population, which once numbered nearly 500,000 pairs, has rebounded from a significant decline to reach 160,000 birds today. The eggs of the common murre were highly sought after during the Egg Wars period. The unique eggs are about twice the size of chicken eggs, with a distinctive blue speckled and pointy-tipped appearance. When fried, the white of the egg stays clear and gelatinous, while the yolk takes on a deep reddish color. Despite their ecological importance, the Farallon Islands present significant challenges for human access. Susan Casey, author of The Devil's Teeth, emphasizes the island's inhospitable nature, stating, quote, "I can't overstate the dangers of that place and how hostile it is to human life." The islands got their nickname of the Devil's Teeth from the number of underwater shoals that are ready to chew up any boats that come near their shores. The Coast Miwok tribe aptly named them the Islands of the Dead. Accessing the island has always been a perilous endeavor. Gary Kamiya, a journalist and author, described the Farallons as, quote, "the most forbidding piece of real estate to be found within the city limits of San Francisco." The surrounding seas are extremely turbulent and dangerous, with few safe landing spots for small boats. In the wake of the California gold rush, as San Francisco's population exploded and food became scarce, an unlikely industry emerged: egg collecting on the Farallon Islands. The first to capitalize on that opportunity was Doc Robinson, a pharmacist who, along with his brother-in-law Orrin, sailed to the islands to gather murre eggs. Despite the challenging conditions, their initial venture proved highly profitable, netting them $3,000 from the sale of eggs to restaurants and grocery stores. The work was far from easy. The murres laid their eggs up on the towering steep cliffs higher than Nob Hill. The experience was so harrowing that Robinson and his brother-in-law had no interest in going back. They described it as a hellish experience. However, Robinson's success sparked what became known as the Egg Rush. The area was filled with opportunists who were clamoring for their chance to strike it rich. That was the very reason that many of them were there in the first place. The lucrative opportunity attracted many fortune seekers, setting the stage for fierce competition and conflict. As the demand for eggs grew, so did the organization of the egg collecting industry. In 1851, 6 men formed the Pacific Egg Company, which claimed exclusive rights to the Farallon Islands. That move marked a significant shift from individual entrepreneurs to a more structured and monopolistic approach to egg gathering. To protect their interests, the company hired security guards to keep rival egg poachers at bay. The process of collecting eggs on the Farallon Islands was fraught with danger and required a great deal of skill and daring. Each May, when the birds began laying, the Pacific Egg Company would land 10 to 30 men, mostly Italian and Greek, on the island's treacherous shores. Those men faced numerous hazards, from navigating the turbulent waters in small rowboats to scaling guano-slicked cliffs while fending off aggressive seabirds. They were rough-necked guys, waterfront types, climbing up and pushing eggs into their special egg pockets in their egg shirts. Even with makeshift equipment like handmade crampons fashioned from rope and rusted nails, accidents and injuries were common. In 1858, the Daily Alta California reported a tragic incident where an egger missed his hold while robbing a gull's nest over the edge of a precipice and, falling, was dashed to pieces on the rocks below. The egg collectors employed a ruthless but effective technique to ensure the freshness of their harvest. On their first trip to the island of the season, they would smash every egg they found. That practice guaranteed that all eggs gathered on subsequent days would be fresh. The lucrative egg trade on the Farallon Islands attracted fierce competition, leading to escalating tensions between rival eggers. The Pacific Egg Company, which claimed exclusive rights to the islands, faced persistent challenges from other egg collectors. One man in particular, Captain David Batchelder, became a thorn in the company's side, repeatedly attempting to access the islands with his own crew of roughnecks. The simmering conflict reached its boiling point on June 3, 1863, just weeks before the Battle of Gettysburg would begin on the other side of the country. Captain Batchelder, determined to take the South Island by force, arrived with 3 ships carrying 27 heavily armed men. The Pacific Egg Company's guards warned them against landing, but Batchelder and his crew, fueled by whiskey and bravado, were undeterred. As dawn broke on June 4th, Batchelder's men attempted to land, ignoring the warning shouted from the shore. The Egg Company's security force opened fire, and Batchelder's crew returned fire, sparking a fierce gun battle. The first casualty was Edwin Perkins, an Egg Company employee who was shot through the stomach. Despite his wound, Perkins managed to fire back before succumbing to his injury. The battle raged on for 20 minutes, with the Egg Company's defenders holding the advantage due to their strategic positions. In the end, 5 of Batchelder's men were wounded, and his forces were driven to retreat. The captain of one of Batchelder's boats, shot below the throat, died 2 weeks later. The Egg War left the Pacific Egg Company in sole control of the islands, but at a terrible cost. David Batchelder was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to a year in San Quentin prison. He served 9 months before being released. The violent conflict and its impact on the bird population finally prompted government to intervene. In 1881, U.S. Marshals and the military forcibly evicted the Egg Company from the islands. However, smaller egg-gathering operations continued until the government took further action. Responding to appeals from the California Academy of Science, President Theodore Roosevelt signed an executive order in 1909, imposing an outright ban on all egg gathering on the Farallon Islands. That marked the end of the commercial egg industry on the islands and ushered in a new era of wildlife protection. The egg wars of the Farallon Islands are a great example of the far-reaching effects of the gold rush and the lengths people would go for profit. The conflict had a significant impact on the delicate ecosystem of the islands and brought attention to the need for wildlife protection. The ruthless exploitation of natural resources eventually led to government intervention, marking a turning point in conservation efforts. Wanting to fill the needs of the people can be a good thing, but doing it at the expense of other people's lives and the ecosystem in order to make a profit is not the way to go. Sometimes, when there are no more eggs, you just have to go without. Thanks for watching This Is Monsters. New episodes are uploaded twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. There are occasional bonus episodes covering unsolved cases and criminal history. If you have a suggestion for a case you think I should cover, leave it in the comments. You can always follow the channel on Instagram at thisis_monsters and purchase merch at thisismonsters.com. Thanks so much, and be safe.